Hey guys, this is Alex, and welcome to the Two Dudes Brews and Reviews podcast. Today, we're talking about Inside, the Netflix comedy special from the mind of Bo Burnham. If you like what you hear, consider subscribing to the podcast and maybe even tell your friends about us. With that being said, we hope you enjoy the show.
When's the first time I watched this? I watched it over the weekend for the first time in a while.
Did you watch it when it came out?
Yes, I watched it like the week it came out when it got released on Netflix for the first time. What was the release date? That's a great question.
I believe it was the summer of 2021.
Okay. So it's about a year old almost, right?
Yeah, just about.
That's weird. Even the zeitgeist and societal outlook on the pandemic has changed a lot even since the release of this film.
A ton. I barely feel like there's even anything going on right now. And I think there still is, but you wouldn't really know it.
You wouldn't know it with the whole Ukraine shit. Today we found out like there's a leaked document insinuating that Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned in the Supreme Court. So like that'll be in the fucking news loop for the next 3 weeks.
Going backwards.
Will Smith, all that shit. I think it was Tim Dillon that said it. I'm not sure if it was a tweet or something or on a podcast, but he said Ukraine ended the pandemic and Will Smith ended the war in Ukraine.
It's still going on though, right? Or
yeah.
We're just talking about public consciousness.
Yeah, the public zeitgeist conscious. Like the news cycle has moved on. This special, I feel like it came out right when things were like kind of getting opened up again and had a good general anxiety that everybody felt at the time. And so, yeah, but the watching it is completely different now because it doesn't feel as personal as when it first came out as far as like the impact of that isolation.
I felt like I was going down memory lane, but like in a bad way. Just bringing back those quarantine days is not something I wanted to be reminded of, really.
It was less like the first time, that first watch, like when it first came out, it was more sympathetic, where it felt like it was a little bit more of a shared experience. And now, like coming to it in a different time, it feels a little bit more isolating and even darker than it was the first time.
I agree.
This is a strange topic because it's got film quality and our album quality that we could pick apart with it. I don't want to go like straight through the film as far as front to back. We can kind of hop around.
Okay.
But just to kind of get things rolling, I think the way the film opens up is really great. I mean, I guess it's considered a comedy special, but it's almost like this avant-garde art house take on it. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm sure many people know. It's Bo Burnham in a room.
And it never leaves the room.
No.
Not even remotely.
It's so uncomfortable. Yeah, it's the intro of the film is him testing out lighting and all these like different fast cuts that are obviously taken at different points in time throughout the special because his hair is long at some points, which I found this super abrasive at first in a good way because the whole special is cut extremely fast. There's no like, again, smooth transitions. I mean, that's a gag at some point.
Yeah. Before we start digesting the special, what is like your relationship with the work of Bo Burnham?
When I was in high school, I would say I think he released 2 specials from maybe when I was in middle school to high school, somewhere in that area. Because we watched them over like summer break and stuff, like me and my brothers. And I watched them on repeat because it was the time where I still had a little bit of innocence where I could rewatch a thing over and over again because I didn't have responsibility. And when you hear something funny, you want to hear it 10,000 times before you wear it the fuck out. That type of childish humor.
I miss that.
That's what alcohol is for. So, I mean, I remember being introduced to him through a cousin at some point because it was just his album work. The most notable thing I remember was The Klan Cookout is one of his songs where he talks about the KKK members having a cookout together.
This sounds wonderful.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's fucking great. He's always kind of been in the light since he was young. I know that's something he tackles on the special as well because I'm pretty sure he had YouTube videos that were popular.
He did. That's how I was introduced to him. I feel like I've known about this guy for 15 years at least. And it's been super interesting to see the way his career has evolved. You would never guess that this dude doing these comedy songs in his bedroom would go on to become an actor, a director. He's a songwriter. He's a super talented guy. And I feel like this special is kind of like all those talents just combining. I don't know if I'm going out on a limb when I say this, but I feel like this is probably the best thing that he's done, at least to me.
Yeah, it's technically, like, as far as technicals go, it seems to be the case. I think what he did as far as cinematography goes in this is something unparalleled that I've seen before. I want to preface that he didn't do everything. Like, there's
producers and stuff like that.
I think I'll bring it up later, but the tone of the special changes a little bit for me as I kind of uncovered a little bit of insider information. We'll get there. But it's basically a one-man show.
Yeah.
I mean, quite literally, it is just him. At some points, it doesn't feel like it's just him because he really embodies some weird shit.
Yeah.
Throughout, like pretending to be a white woman, and
he does some cool tricks too. Like, I think in one of the first few songs, he's got like a switch next to him, and he's like activating lights and audience laughter. So he's like playing music, and he's like kind of doing the stage show at the same time.
Yeah, stuff like that. You try to step back from it, and you kind of try to analyze the technicals and the work that would have to go into making all that happen. Like, it's no surprise that he took like over a year to do this. And it's only it's about an hour and a half, and I would say maybe 10 to 15 minutes max would be like more him just talking to the camera. But the vast majority is it's skits and song. I think he has the first song, which is comedy. Not like one of my favorites, and I kind of almost forgot about it because it feels so far removed from what happens towards the end of the special.
I agree, but I feel like it's a good tone setter.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of like a bright, fun, classic Bo Burnham song to me. He's kind of commenting on like how comedians are more important than like social figures, and they enact real change, obviously in a parody form. And I don't want to like suck out all the comedy, like and put it down on paper and like make things unfunny throughout the podcast, but I do think he has like an interesting worldview. I think he's like pretty self-aware. He's aware of like some of his commentary, even though he may not completely agree with it, or like he just kind of falls into. And we'll kind of get into like the whole whiteness aspect of that. I have no room to comment. Like I
We're two white guys drinking craft beer doing a podcast.
Correct.
It doesn't get much more white than that.
We are the worst individuals that there is on this earth. We're up there with like Genghis Khan and Hitler, all that shit.
Just right below there.
We're like an abomination, like a disease on this earth. But on a fun note, I think the opening song kind of does set like a bright, fun tone. Like, it obviously had been recorded at like the beginning of the special, and I think that's something that is interesting throughout the rest of the film, because you do get to see maybe when something was recorded, because his hair kind of his hair and his beard kind of show you the passage of time. And since the special is cut and edited not linearly, you can kind of see where some of his darker isolation moments lie, and then like the parts where he was still having fun. Yeah, this is it's a good opening track. I think like one of the first shorter skits / songs would be like FaceTiming his mom. Like, I get a great laugh out of that shit. I never FaceTime my mother, though. It's not something that I have to deal with.
Neither do I.
Oh, perfect.
A phone call alone is more than enough, usually. I actually found the FaceTiming with your mom song to be one of the, like, on the weaker side.
Think so?
Like, I kind of get where it threads with the rest of the show. Like, there is a common theme of like technology and how we are communicating with each other like over the pandemic, but I felt like the song itself didn't have a huge like comedic punch to it.
No, I mean, lyrically I didn't think so. The only time I got a good laugh, and it's overused for me now, but talking to his dad says, "How you doing, bud?" And he says, "I'm fine." And that's the realest talk we ever had. That shit's great.
Yeah, that's definitely the highlight of the track.
I also found it funny. He talks about, she's telling me about the season 6 finale of The Blacklist. God damn, I hate that shit.
What, The Blacklist?
Like the prime time crime drama shit. I cannot stand. And like, it's not done well.
Like these like old people shows.
I mean, I've seen enough of it to know what it is. It's one of those things where you can like bury your head in your phone or whatever the fuck and not pay attention to it at the same time, and then somehow feel like it's a miraculous show.
Yeah, I've never seen anything, so I can't even comment on it.
It's like somewhere between soap opera and Breaking Bad.
Soap opera and Breaking Bad?
It's like, yeah, it's the only way I can put it. It's just like terrible writing alongside of like interesting crime drama. A tier above like some NCIS shit. It has an actual story, but the writing is awful. That's all I got to say about that.
I'm a pass on that.
I keep squeaking this shit out of this chair. Apologies.
It's all right.
I do want to talk about my first highlight, which is how the world works.
This is one of my favorites.
I do think this is the good middle of the road between the dark and the funny. Poor Sacco.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. This sounds like it's straight off of like Sesame Street or something. Of course, it takes that twisted turn.
The most dynamic thing I found about it is he does a really good job in the space that we're set in of kind of breaking that wall of it just feeling like him, where, dude, the sock feels alive, and I get completely sold on the sock puppet being alive. First off, the lighting is bright. I guess I'm sure he's using like Philips Hue lighting or like, you know, some sort of like RGB lighting. Like the equipment that he has in this room is like makes you super claustrophobic. But man, dude, poor Sacco. I can't help but think about how much time and effort goes into making something like this, because the sock is being overdubbed, and so he has to know that tight script and that reaction time of like, I'm gonna open my hand and let the sock talk, and then I have to remember my lines. Little things like that. I mean, it does remind me of like his other specials where his comedy is like that blend mixed media, because he does like live performances of song and he would dance and all that shit, and everything's cued to lighting on stage. So it's like this very tight thing. It's just so much work. Like he has like a very, very tight routine.
That precise timing spills over into the unpaid intern segment as well. And you just know that him sitting in this room alone, he was doing take after take after take to get it right. And you kind of see little bits of that where he's getting frustrated throughout the special, especially during the song where he's talking about like, how can I be funny in a room? And he like messes up and he says, fuck, I took like a too big of a breath, and he has to start it over. That could have been like the 7th time that he did that, or maybe like the 30th time.
I mean, I respect it. He does get kind of driven mad at some point. Well, I do want to comment a little bit more on how the world works.
Yeah, totally.
I did find it interesting, the fact that when Sacco challenges Bo's worldview, since Bo is in charge, he ends a discussion from a point of authority, and that's how the world works.
Yeah, I caught that too. That was really clever.
There's really small things like that can go missed. I do think like visually it can be a little too entertaining at times, where like he does make really fast commentary in like symbolic and subtle ways, and I didn't pick up on all of them, but I did find that one very interesting. Like literally the sock puppet challenges him, talking about like, why does he feel a need to comment on every socio-political bullshit to make himself feel good about himself?
Yeah,
and
like, why does it have to be about you? And that is a big problem. I think that Sacco here drops about the best verse in comparison to every other song on the special.
He's got fucking bars, bro. The sock puppet has bars.
This dude's been reading up on like Karl Marx a whole lot.
Fucking Christ.
The commie sock puppet, dude. He really breaks it down. I mean, talking about Martin Luther King being assassinated by the FBI and like how all history classes are demonstrably false. I feel like it's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, I always found that really interesting as a kid. You just like got taught this shit by a teacher. Didn't really have any chance to discuss outside the context of a textbook.
Kind of like how we were taught that George Washington had wooden teeth, but he actually wore the teeth of slaves.
Or like Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, but in fact he was like a rapist and a murderer.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? What's going on here?
America, man. God bless it if it's good to you.
God damn it. I saw you like U2?
No.
Okay.
Not
That was a
really.
deep cut. Who are you?
Who am I?
Bagel Bites.
Do you join Wheat Thins in the fight to fight? God damn it.
Lyme's disease, bro.
I need to stop quoting stuff. I usually trip myself up really bad.
It's okay. We'll let it slide. I think the brand shit is fucking great.
Well, it feels like it was ripped straight out of something real.
I always find that shit so interesting. Like, why did these... Fucking Christ, we're going deep. Like, as long as Skittles make neutral-colored Skittles for gay pride awareness, like, Raytheon can keep dropping bombs and building shit for the military. It's just, like, this crazy... Like, no one asked what Raytheon thinks about immigrants or anything. Huh? Like, come on. Do gun manufacturers stand aside? It's a lot, man. I find that capitalism creates, like, this weird fucking relationship between consumer and company. Oh, God.
It doesn't have to go any deeper than that, but it does. Like, can't we just buy a bag of Skittles?
Yeah.
And leave it at that?
Because it's got sugar and it makes my brain feel good. Like, isn't that enough of a fucking cyst on my life that you live as a company? I give you my money, you make my brain feel good for 30 minutes, and then my stomach hurt for an hour, and like just let it be.
It doesn't have to give you this false sense of helping out. Like, we donate 1 penny per bag, and then they really just like pocket it at the end of the day.
Yeah, buddy. God damn it. And that's the other thing. You ever like think about when you give money to charity, how much goes to the people that run the charity? Like for every $1 that you donate, maybe 12 cents actually makes it to the cause that you were giving towards. Stop giving to St. Jude's is my point, okay? Like,
I think like Susan B. Komen, the breast cancer awareness foundation, is a lot like that. And so is like the Salvation Army and really any of those.
Goodwill makes a lot of money, even though you just give them their product. Oh, God. Let's stop talking about this.
Making you mad?
It's just making me question life. Yeah, we're going to get existential on this one. Have fun. White woman Instagram is something I do want to talk about as well. We are going like front to back, aren't we? Jesus Christ.
We'll hop around a little bit after this. There's like some tunes that I don't have a whole lot to say about.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And there's some that I would like to say a lot about.
What do you think about white woman Instagram?
I remember the first time I watched this, I thought, at least for like the first half of the song, I felt like he was attacking a low-hanging fruit. Like, I thought it was kind of an overdone concept, like making fun of like basic white women. They like pumpkin spice lattes and drinking wine.
Correct.
And they like Instagram. But I think at the end of the song, it does kind of open it up where, and literally the aspect ratio for a majority of the video is like in Instagram form. But then the lyrics start to take the standpoint of like the woman that the song is like
mocking.
God damn it. Yeah, that it's mocking is she starts to get a little bit more human, talking about like her mom being like having passed away, and then the ratio opens up because you're getting a look into like her real life instead of her like online persona. I feel like the song would be bad without that.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're a little bit more nice about it than I am. I hate that basic shit a lot. I mean, now listen, I'm not completely like unaware. I'm a mid-20s almost white dude that plays guitar, likes music and films, and I like it so much that I have to validate my own opinion through 13 people that live on the internet listening to me do this. So like, I'm not completely stupid. Now I don't do social media. I mean, I guess this is my new form of it. I didn't post in the first place. I was a lurker. I've been thinking about that shit a lot though lately, where like how much of my personality is extremely unique because I really like to do it up in my own head about like feeling self-important and feeling different than most people I know, but in reality, like there's 20,000 other dudes like me that live in this state probably. You know what I mean? It's just like things where I'm not special, I'm not unique, but everybody has their own opinions and I'm just another dude expressing those.
Just another drop in the bucket, man.
Yeah, bro. Fucking Drop in the Ocean by what's his name? You remember that song?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Something. God, some bullshit that my fucking first girlfriend made me listen to, and I thought I was in love with her because she was so fucking deep. It's a shame that she was deep throating that fucking senior. Anyway,
you're going places I did not predict.
Anyway, I did find it extremely disturbing how accurate he was able to achieve appearing like a white woman.
Oh, yeah.
It made me so uncomfortable. First off, we saw his ass for the most part, like his hairy ass leg and a flannel. Him wearing like the cardigan sweater with glasses and just, God, it made me so uncomfortable. How, I don't mean it in the way that I'm going to say this, but he becomes extremely effeminate in a way that like I was not expecting because he's a bearded man, but he also has like very feminine features. So, and he really rolls into the white woman aspect. So, I mean, that disturbed the shit out of me. And then as far as the cinematography goes, like these are fucking, like he should have made these all and put them on an Instagram post. Like you would have got 3,000 followers from that shit. I mean, this is some good looking shit. I do think this kind of starts to play into a little bit of this chaotic eeriness that plays into it because right after this song ends, there's like a shot of him watching what we just watched, like him editing. It gets really weird.
Yeah, there's some of these like fourth wall breaking
B-roll
segments
stuff.
is like kind of strange. Gives you like the insight of like his actual mental state throughout like this time in quarantine. Do you think that some of these were staged or that they were real? Like the one where he is trying to like, he's giving a take, he's talking to the camera and he's like, I've been working on the special for a year. And he restarts like 3 times before saying like, fuck it, and like getting up and walking away. Was that real or was that like
performative?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can crack that can of worms open because this is his guest house.
I figured.
This is not his real home that he would live in on a day-to-day basis. So I don't think he's made a lot of comment on the entire process. He lives with like a girlfriend, I believe. And part of me wonders, okay, well, if this is his guest house, what was the dynamic that he played into? Like, did he go back inside his own home at the end of the night to be with his girlfriend? Like, did he cook and eat there in the guest house? Like, part of me thinks no. When you kind of isolate it, like after like a first watch or something, it can kind of be a little overwhelming. And when you step back from it, you kind of think like he had to live. Like, why would he torture himself in this way? Like, I know, like, we were under quarantine and stuff, but people still saw people. Like, I mean, someone had to have been there with him. I don't think you ever see him eating in the film either. So, like, part of me thinks, like, this was, like, more of, like, his work studio. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I do think some of it was dramatized. But the filming of the special does come off of his 5-year hiatus from performing stand-up live and stuff.
He was having panic attacks.
Which are not fun. I mean, I've had them. I think a lot of people have.
I've had them as well.
They are crippling, and when you do have them, you don't know why you're having them, and it becomes extremely obtrusive to your daily life.
And he was having them in front of hundreds of people while filming his last stand-up special, I believe. So that's probably a big reason why he kind of retired the idea for a while.
So, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, my anxiety levels were increased extremely during the pandemic. Like, I totally can
For sure.
understand that. And then if you think about him coming off that hiatus and then trying to go back to performing and then literally getting locked in quarantine while attempting to do that again, he makes comment on it at the end of the film. But, you know, that might have made him spiral back into shit like that. Do you want to move on to another segment that you feel like you need to strongly talk about?
I kind of want to, like, tie some of the themes together that are like presented over the songs. I mean, technology is a big one, and communication during the quarantine. Of course, that was already covered during like White Woman's Instagram and FaceTiming with my mom. But there's a lot of comments about like the social media space, especially the faux stand-up segment where he's like in front of the spotlight and he says, "Can anyone for just 1 hour shut the fuck up?" That's like one of my favorite segments of the entire special.
It's like just like a minute or two long. I agree. I also really like that. It's like actually when I go back to think about this special, it's like one of the moments I remember the most.
And it kind of ties in with some of the other segments that he gives. There's one where he's laying on the floor, wrapped up in blankets and a pillow, and he's talking about like, do you really think that like giving young kids iPhones or like iPads, you know, leading them into a world of like mental illness, like basically like by giving them, quote, everything at once, like all the time.
He talks about, do you think as a society we should all flatten our human experience for the benefit of a couple of bug-eyed salamanders in Silicon Valley as a way of life forever?
Images of Mark Zuckerberg are just like popping up in my head every time that imagery is explained to me.
You know, I disconnected from that shit a while ago, so it does give me...
Do you feel like you have a sense of freedom, like living outside of that?
I use YouTube a lot, though, so like I'm not completely disconnected. I mean, I do use YouTube for a lot of like entertainment, and I follow like topics or people that I'm really interested in through that. One of the reasons I don't miss social media is seeing things about people I don't care about. And things
that's a big one.
Like I noticed my my self-confidence go up a lot when I stopped. I mean, I used social media when I was younger too, so when I quit, you don't realize how long you sit there and you stay awake just laying on your phone. And like my girlfriend uses TikTok a lot. Sometimes it really bothers me because sometimes it feels like I have to shake somebody out of a coma to like get your attention, you know?
My wife is like this with Twitter. And like I'm not really one to talk because unlike you, I am like still wrapped up in the social media world. I have been since MySpace was a fucking thing. Yeah, it's just no good, man, being wrapped up in the lives of everybody else. Everybody putting on this facade of like their best version of their life. And then you sitting there scrolling and looking at them, you're comparing the highlights of their life to you just sitting there. I find that to be really bad for my mental health. And I'm sure it's really bad for everybody in general. Like
I used to have a Twitter. I used to have a I guess I still have a Facebook and stuff, but
you do?
Yeah, like I don't have like the app or like.
Are we friends on there?
I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, I've never posted, like nothing like that.
Okay.
I used it to when I played paintball. It was a way of having Facebook Messenger for like a group chat for like the paintball team and everything. It was like that was the purpose I used it for. I find like in my own personal life, since I do use YouTube a lot, I do get like very catered topics, but a lot of them fall in like into like the passion category, and it's like less demonstrous on my like daily life. It's more of like a joy to be educated on certain things, which I find really nice. Like I listen to a lot of philosophy and like film and music, and I mean, now don't get me wrong, there are things that I completely can waste my time with as well, but I find it easier to step away from.
It's not as bad.
Yeah,
it really isn't.
But when I quit social media, I started reading more. I filled that gap though. I mean, I still use my phone. I'm still addicted to my phone like everybody else. I find myself checking my email a shit ton. There's like just small things where those gaps get filled. But it's nice not to be extremely intertwined in people I don't care about's lives. But, I don't live that perfect away from social media life. I mean, I read YouTube comments. I find stuff like that extremely freeing in a way. I notice people I work with, 20 different Snapchat things pop up on their phone at one time, and there's like 17 people trying to Snapchat them. Part of me wonders if they ever sit down to think about like how much attention that eats up, just sending a photo back and forth to each other that may not really have any context, and it might be like a throwaway picture, like you're just using it to like basically like the poke button for Facebook, like I poke you and you poke me back. Yeah. Like let me just have like some sort of weird digital button with you that like just creates like some sort of stream of connectivity that in like the most basic binary way, like I hit a button, you hit a button, I hit a button, you hit a button. Yeah, makes me feel uncomfortable for them.
You hit the button and then serotonin is brought to your brain in the most basic way possible.
And it's the same thing with like TikTok, and I hate what I cannot stand about YouTube right now, and part of me like wants to really stop using it on my phone completely and only resort back to my desktop computer, is YouTube has integrated like the TikTok algorithm of like swiping up for like short videos. It's called YouTube Shorts. It's like a straight rip of TikTok.
Facebook has this too now.
And it's so annoying because when I open the YouTube app, that's the first thing that pops up. And it literally catches your attention so fast that you get wrapped up into that and you completely forget what you're even getting on there for to like look at. That drives me fucking nuts. And like part of me wants to just completely get rid of YouTube on my phone now.
This special is good because we just went on like a 10-minute tirade about
social media,
all this shit.
Yeah. Anyway.
Can we talk about the unpaid intern segment?
I was going to go there as well.
That's one of my favorite segments.
Are you an unpaid intern? You ever interned anywhere? Gooder?
I've done some student teaching stuff. Does that count?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm working towards getting a degree, but
student teaching is probably very similar to interning, yeah. I'm assuming we're going to talk about the reaction video to it as well.
That's the thing that makes the segment shine, really.
I find that the commentary on like, Jesus Christ, I can't get out of my head either. I'm sorry. Had a little off-air shenanigans that's going to be cut out. The commentary on YouTube commentary, I find very interesting. It's so weird. Like when anything remotely controversial happens inside of any sort of community or like on a world social stage. Most recent example is Will Smith, Chris Rock. In the following 24 to 48 hours, everything that I follow, like on YouTube, podcasting, had a comment ready to go. And they were like reacting to the video.
That's so stale.
They need to pick apart this thing that just happened over the course of 5 minutes that everyone's already seen and they can put their own opinion on, but you want to hear it from other people now. And I found the reaction inception very fun.
I think this segment gets the most laughs out of me each time that I've watched this. It also helps that the original song is constantly playing in the background. So every time that it loops around, you get Bo going, like, it's so fucking funny.
Part of me wonders the process of doing this because I want to say it's one take and then he edits it in like the smaller videos.
I think you're right.
Like I'm sure it was scripted because I know if I could hear myself talking and then having to talk over me talking, I couldn't, like it's impossible. It would make me so uncomfortable. He had to have just done this one take and then it gets cut, edited. You get it.
He's doing like picture in picture, in picture, in picture.
In real time.
It's super clever. And I feel like it kind of changes the theme of the segment because, of course, the unpaid intern thing is about the upper class taking advantage of someone in the lower class trying to make their way up. But then when you get to the reactor segment, you're getting like the mind state of a YouTuber where he's like, oh, that was like kind of pretentious, like reacting to his reaction. And it kind of turns into this thing about like throwing criticism towards yourself before someone else can put it out there.
I did it earlier when I said, I understand. I have a podcast. Like, I'm not oblivious to the fact that I'm my own culture wrapped up.
Yeah.
It is a defense mechanism. You're trying to like take the side of somebody that would be negatively criticizing you.
This segment's only like 2 minutes long, if that. And I think that it's the one that sticks with me the most.
At first he like has the YouTuber persona of like smiling directly at the camera type of thing, and then it kind of turns into like him like having a chaotic breakdown, and then immediately returning to that at the end. Like, that was my reaction. Like, leave a like and subscribe.
If you want to keep up with the theme of like YouTube related segments, I really like the one where he's giving the subscribe spiel with the knife in his hand. Did you kind of catch what he was trying to get across here?
Like, he's going to kill you or kill himself if you don't fucking subscribe to my content.
It's just that passive-aggressive kind of style of YouTubers where they are bombarding you with, all right, now smash that like button and hit the bell as well.
It reminds me of, like, David Dobrik. I remember, I think I was, like, probably freshman or sophomore year when he kind of, like, got that hype because my friend, like, kind of showed me his videos and stuff. And I remember one afternoon we were like, we're just going to watch David Dobrik videos. God, dude, like that... Content, bro. I'm completely removed from like the whole content house thing that's happening right now. Like all these like young 16-year-olds are like in these houses, and it's like all this like basically Big Brother but drama, where like these content houses where they just do like stupid shit with high production. It's like what Jersey Shore wanted to be. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's very strange. Why do we do this now? Isn't it so odd to you that we've talked about this before? I'm pretty sure we've talked about it on air, and off air. But with the advancement of technology and social media being introduced, there's a lot more of the individual and how do I put it? This decentralized form of power that we've all gained now. Where when I was a kid, my last thought was, what do I think about this, and like who needs to know about it?
You mean like who needs to know what I think?
Yeah, and how to me it feels so completely removed from what reality is supposed to be. Like anybody can make music now, like on their phone if they want, or make a video from their phone and like hundreds of thousands of people can see it. We have like these supercomputers in our pockets, and how much that like tethers us together. I mean, I've noticed more lately how much I use my phone while driving and how much I notice other people using their phone while driving, where I remember like the don't text and drive ad campaigns, and now it's mostly like don't Snapchat or Facebook or Twitter or whatever the fuck while you drive. It's like kind of this...
Like they're honing in on certain applications and stuff?
No, I'm just saying like there's so much more. It's like so much more than just texting now. Like there's like all this data and notifications and shit that we need to pay attention to, even though we don't need to pay attention to it. Like the individual is so much more important than it used to be, where we're like in this uncomfortable state of in between something. Like there has to be something beyond this where it can't be so intrusive, because it used to be just you would turn on the FM radio or the AM radio, and that's what you would listen to in the car unless you put a CD or a cassette in. Now I can listen to people talk for hours. If I wanted to listen to the news or watch the news, I had to do it at home or get like a special announcement through the FM radio, Sirius XM, satellite radio, whatever. It just feels like things have moved so fast in a way that we're not supposed to handle, like in this 20 years that I've been alive, at least. I can't imagine what it's like to be 40 right now and, you know, you used to ride your bike to school and now you can't, you know what I mean?
Having this whole new world opened up to you.
I don't know. It just bothers me. I think Bo's 30, so he's a millennial, and you're almost 30, you old fuck.
We don't have to think about this right now.
Think about it. Get existential with me.
And this technology is still relatively new. MySpace was like 2005. It's less than 20 years ago. Facebook is less than 20 years old. Like, we haven't even seen the far-reaching effects of how this will affect society. Like, think about 50 years from now, or if the planet isn't like a smoldering crater in 100 years, then how will it be then?
I worry a lot about VR right now. Like, I have a VR headset, and when I have used it, it's the best thing in the world. Like, it's so fun.
I've never used one
and
of
the
these.
graphics are terrible on most of them right now. And it's still like...
But they won't be forever.
But they won't be forever. Yeah. And like that makes me super nervous for... I couldn't help while watching the film today thinking about my children.
Like, would you give your 3-year-old access to an iPad? Or
a
phone?
Like stuff like that where I'm like, I can't subject you to that knowing what it'll do to you.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't. That like fucking scares me because it's not healthy. Like, you know how many times I've been at a restaurant and I've seen a family and a young child and they just put a fucking tablet in front of their kid and the kid just shuts the fuck up.
Yeah.
That shit frightens me as a future parent. Like, I need to live off the grid, dude. I need to like grow mushrooms and like have 3 cattle and a couple of chickens and a row of corn and just live in a cabin. Because I can't think about subjecting my children to that stimulus so young. I mean, I know what it was like to sit in front of a TV on the rug. Like, yes, but to the point where it's like so, again, decentralized and so abundant to where I can just subject my children to that at any point. I don't know if I can consciously choose that for a child, my child specifically.
I completely agree. This is like turned into like a technology podcast.
God damn it.
It's
Turn
okay.
off the podcast.
Go outside.
We're poisoning your ears. Please, go away. It just fucking bothers me.
Unsubscribe and rate 0. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you don't have a segment that you're wanting to move into immediately, what was the goal of the Twitch streamer segment?
Okay. Yeah, I found this one super interesting because to me, I was, again, like same thing with like the Sacco. I was completely sold on the fact that he was playing a video game because he got down all the social cues right for like what a streamer does. Dante, thanks for the 4 months, man. Really appreciate it. Or like, I really like this. Oh, what's this? I wish the game wouldn't give me so many hints. Also, he acts out like being a video game character so well.
His mannerisms remind me of like an old Resident Evil game when they used to have like the tank controls. You press up on the D-pad and you can only move in one direction and you'll like walk in place if you hit a wall. It was so well done. And yeah, his mannerisms like as a Twitch streamer are really well done. But I had a hard time figuring out what the purpose of
like
the segment was, like in relation to other things other than just being like an other technology comment.
I think part of it has to do, maybe it was like him expressing what his day is like. He like cries and plays music.
Yeah.
And walks around this room.
And maybe you're right. Maybe it is just a look into like his mental state. Because I think like not only a few more segments after this is where he's like talking directly to the camera in the mirror and he just starts crying and then it does a fade out.
God damn it, dude. God damn it. This was such a heavy fucking thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Why do I do this to myself?
Damn, when the first time I watched this, I only saw the first half and I walked away thinking like, yeah, it's another Bo Burnham thing with like some silly songs and that's it. And then after watching it 2 times over the last couple of days, I've had this like cloud over my head the entire time. Yeah.
It's extremely existential. It's even more existential trying to unpack it. There's a turning point, like you said. You said you watched about half of it. Did you watch like up to the intermission pretty much?
I think I stopped around the problematic song.
Okay, that's perfect because I think at the song Turning 30 is where the special kind of takes that really dark plunge.
Yeah. Is that after problematic?
Yep, it's right after it.
Okay, I'd seen up till that point right there.
And like problematic is super funny and like he fucks his belly button with a goddamn water bottle nozzle. Like it's so weird.
It's
like
so sexually charged.
Yeah, and his nipple, like he just puts his hairy ass nipple like just full blown up close. Like that, I mean that shit was like there's good visual gags like that. One of the things that I wanted to talk about briefly was like the sexting song. I thought that shit was kind of as far as like a song goes. But there was like a great visual gag during that because he's like projected against the wall, like just the word sexting over and over and over again, like in a text message bubble. And like you can't read it the whole time, but like for a split second during the whole song, there's like more text behind him again. Instead of sexting, it's like, hey, by the way, if any time you want to stop doing this, like we totally can if you're getting uncomfortable, you know, even though I say like I want you, I don't want you to be uncomfortable, and like I'm only saying that because I want us to have fun and make this interesting, and like I please don't want you to
Do you
get
have to
mad at me.
pause
Yes,
to
to like
see
rate
this?
all that.
I almost did it, and then I forgot to.
Yeah. It's like so true. God damn. You know, I'm a grown man now, so I don't really have to do that anymore. And I have a relationship with a woman, so it's like not really something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
But God, I remember being young. I mean, I'm 23. Jesus Christ, Austin, you're not that old, but you know what I mean? God, that's such a weird thing to navigate. I just found it extremely funny because it's like, it's so hard to get social cues from somebody through text message. So you just have to spill and spill out this, I don't want you to make you uncomfortable. Like, I just want us to have fun. Like, if anytime you don't feel uncomfortable, just like, please let me know. Like, I really like you and I don't want to like make you uncomfortable. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
that's just great.
You think that song's kind of mid?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's catchy. Don't get me wrong.
I think the concept is mid, but you're right. It is one of the best tunes. Parts of it kind of reminded me of like the vocalizations that like The Weeknd does. Like, whoa. Like, that's kind of a thing that he does a lot. Has a few of my favorite one-liners as well. My dick looks like the baby from Eraserhead, which is a movie I haven't seen, but
Jesus Christ.
I'm getting the idea just by the line alone. And sexting, it's not sex, it's the next best thing.
Bro, he turns 30 during the special, which I find does tie back into like, is he dramatizing this whole experience in a way?
I don't think it was done in real time.
Oh, yeah.
He had to have set the alarm clock to 11:58 and then pressed record. But that doesn't take away and it doesn't dampen the emotional effect that the segment has.
It could have been him like at the time, like this could have been taken days after he turned 30, but it still like encapsulates his feelings of like what he probably was feeling at the time.
Turning 30 is like this dramatic low point that everyone in their 20s is not looking forward to.
Oh God, stop. You're right. I just told you you're going to turn 30 and God, I can't even think about it right now. That's awful.
Hey, I'm still 28. I'm still young.
I got 7 more years.
I reverberate such youth, as he says. I feel like this is important because all my life that I've known of Bo Burnham, the stigma around him was always that he was a young talent. And then turning 30 is kind of like the erasure of that stigma. Like, he is no longer the young and talented artist. Like, he's just an artist at that point. And I don't buy into shit like that, really. Like, I don't care. Well, I guess I care a little bit. Like, if somebody breaks out and like wins an Oscar at 19 or something, that's a big deal. But I don't know. Like, I don't attribute age that much. You know what I mean?
There's a thing as being a late bloomer as well. I mean, some people don't figure it out until they're 50, you know?
Yeah.
Or when they're going to die, you know? I mean, it's like, some people never figure it out either, by the way.
I think the group, The National, didn't get big till they were like in their late 30s. So, I mean, there really is there's no rules in place.
I think it just has to do with like, you're a real adult when you turn 30. You know what I mean? Your body has changed completely from when you were younger. And I don't know. I do want to say about the song Turning 30, I think the lighting in this song visually is the most impressive performance he gives. Oh, yeah. First off, he's like in his underwear, which I found an interesting choice because he does make that choice later on as well.
Bulge just sticking out.
He has like his phone behind his back and he's like flicking this light in time with the tempo of the song at certain spots. That's a lot of work, man.
He's working with like floor pedal lighting as well. You see him tap at a specific part in the song where he does a like percussively 3 taps in a row and like creates these 3 silhouettes behind him.
I think it just reminds me a lot too of like his normal, I guess you would say, like specials that he did beforehand. Like, I guess it ties back into like this performance and over the top lighting and shit. I don't know. I guess I admired the hard work that went into that, like the planning that would go in place to like literally do like this 3-minute thing.
It's all one take, right?
And I mean, I think after it ends too, he's like, okay, one more time. You know, like, let's take a look at it and one more time. That shit to me is, I think it's just impressive. Like, I can't even imagine where to begin to even get something like that rolling, you know?
I can't help but relate to the line where he says, all my stupid friends are having stupid children.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm at that stage in my life. You're getting close to it.
God, stop, please. Lord, no.
Do you have any friends that are having kids already?
I know of people that have kids. I don't have friends that have kids.
What are you going to do if I have kids?
Kill them.
They're taking up space.
There can only be a couple people that can have your attention. I hope Liv doesn't get mad, but yeah, I'll kill him.
She'll probably be mad, but
Yeah, she'll get over it.
cross that bridge
You
when
know
we get to
wives.
it.
Hey, it's easier to beg for forgiveness than it is for ask permission.
That's right. Ever since I told you that, I hope you're like really running with the wisdom.
I am, for sure. Probably used in my brother's best man speech one of these days. That and to our wives and girlfriends, may they never meet. I mean, yeah, I don't really have friends that have kids, but I know of people that have had children. And I notice like how much their lives change. Or if they don't change, you know, maybe if they're still fucking idiots. You know, that's also a thing that happens. You don't have to pay child support. It's not a big deal. The law doesn't have to get involved with that, you know? It's not a big deal.
Any particular segments that you want to
Yeah,
talk about next?
for sure, because it happens right after turning 30 and before intermission, where he talks about, he says, I'll wait till I turn 40 and then I'll kill myself.
Oh, yeah.
And following right after that, he has this clip of, I don't actually want to kill myself. If you're thinking about killing yourself, don't. But it's him in the future, and that clip is being projected onto the wall in front of him. And I found that pretty like dark and deep.
God, especially where he says, and this is like semi-relatable, and I hate saying that, but if only you could kill yourself for a year, 18 months, and then come back, like,
That'd be great.
That'd be great. But of course he follows it up with, I've known people that have killed themselves, didn't love it. Like, that's so funny.
Jesus Christ. I think,
God, it's so dark.
yeah, I like it. I think, I mean, I've known people that have killed themselves. Not very close, but I know them, and I've been around them before they did that. And it's, yeah, man, it's dark. It's a dark thing to, you ever had a dream about dying?
Many times.
Like dying, like the act of dying, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Tell you about it?
Yeah, please.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
God damn it.
You can't say that in front of me.
7 years ago.
Jesus Christ. Yeah?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I took a whole lot away from it
Like, do you remember the feeling of dying, though?
in a dream.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, usually in a dream, when you die, you wake up. Mm-hmm. And then you immediately come to terms with the fact that you didn't die.
Okay. There was always that thing when I was younger, I always heard, if you die in a dream, you die in real life. Like, you can't dream dying, because if you die in your dream, like, your mind will think that you're dead, so you die. That didn't happen, but it does feel like you're dead. Every time I've died in a dream, when you die, there's that space between waking up and being asleep, and I always, like, die and fade to black, and then I'm just, like, behind my eyelids, and it's like, that was so fucking weird. It's not okay.
I don't know. I've just never taken much away from that.
I'm not saying I'm just, the sensation of it's very disturbing.
I don't find it that dissimilar from having a dream about falling.
I don't think I've ever had a dream about falling before. Like,
Really?
I don't think so.
I have many times.
Maybe you need to go skydiving.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
that's what it's telling you. Briefly, like, the intermission I thought was really fucking cool, because he, like, washes a window, basically, in front of the camera. Like, that's pretty clean.
It was a cool visual trick for sure. It didn't have much meaning though.
No. I think it was
Like a palate cleanser.
I kind of do want to talk, like, about the last few songs. We didn't talk about Jeffrey Bezos. Like, that was,
oh my God.
That was like an overused TikTok sound after the special came out.
Oh, was it?
Jeffrey
Bezos.
Yeah, everybody knows that. I liked when he says Zuckerberg, Gates, and Buffett, amateurs can fucking suck it. Fuck their wives, drink their blood.
I find the funniest thing about the segment is that it means nothing, and he's not criticizing Jeffrey Bezos. And I can only imagine that maybe this was on his mind because all these props that he's buying for the special are probably coming in from Amazon Prime.
He lives in California too, so, like, he probably wasn't allowed to go shopping.
I mean, it's even funnier when it comes around the second time.
He's like in a ghillie suit.
Yeah, and the second time around, it means even less, where he's just saying, you did it. Congrats. Like, that shit's hilarious.
Yeah. I think everybody hates Jeffrey Bezos now.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I think I've said it on the podcast before, but for every Jeffrey Bezos, there was like 10 Amazons that didn't make it.
That's true. Don't get me wrong. This man has brought me much convenience to my life when I need it. But you start looking into him a little bit, and then you realize why everybody is criticizing him so much.
Yeah, never work at Amazon, guys. Never.
We have an Amazon warehouse 15 minutes away from my house right now.
Really?
I think there's one in Monroe.
Probably. There's one in Kentucky, too. Anyway, we need to talk about Welcome to the Internet. We kind of already briefly talked about, not briefly, we went deep about technology, and yeah, I mean, we don't have to unpack it too much compared to what we already did, but
Yeah,
I think
we've covered a lot of bases already.
This is a great tune, though.
I think this is the second best song of the special.
Really? Compared to...
We'll get to it. We haven't got to it yet.
Is it the Goodbye song?
No.
That Funny Feeling?
Yes.
Interesting.
That's my favorite.
Gotcha. Oh, so Welcome to the Internet's my favorite. I like when they start talking, he goes like, you, when it kind of becomes more personal and not less like goes down to Georgia. It's less of like a sinister tune and it becomes more like a ballad. Also want to applaud his like evil laugh.
Oh, it's great.
It's perfect.
It's fantastic.
I wish I was evil so I could do that more often, you know?
We haven't really talked about like the styles that he uses across the songs like so far on this episode. This one kind of stands out because you said Devil Goes Down to Georgia. I definitely get like a circus kind of vibe, at least from the first half of the track. And I think this one stands out because it switches tempos about 2 or 3 times before it ends.
I also like the cinematography for this one because it's basically monotone blue with like neon stars in the background. I don't know, man. It's very entrancing. He does a really good job of like keeping your attention.
Was this one done all in one take as well?
I don't think so. There was different camera angles and stuff.
Okay, I was having trouble remembering.
He has like over the shoulder shots and like down below.
That's right, because he turns his head and he has a camera angle for each time.
Some of my favorite lines are in that, like, which Power Ranger are you? Take this quirky quiz.
Yeah.
Like
he really does cover all the bases of what the internet contains.
It's anything and everything all the time.
The information overload.
It's awful. I do like the comment on apathy is a tragedy and boredom is a crime when it comes to the internet. Like, you always have something to do and be interested in while browsing the internet. Always. You always can find something that you're interested in.
And that's absolutely true.
God. Moving on. That Funny Feeling. You want to talk about that?
I love this song. I actually heard this many, many times before I even heard Bo Burnham's version of it. There's a popular cover of it by Phoebe Bridgers out there. I'm a huge Phoebe Bridgers fan, so I heard that first. But Bo's version is not that different from the cover version. And I think this one sticks out because it's just him and the acoustic guitar, and you don't get that for the rest of the special, and you're getting unprocessed vocals. I don't know if you noticed the amount of like auto-tune and stuff that's used throughout the rest of the special. This one was very like one take, like turn the camera on, he's singing directly into the mic, he's playing the guitar in real time. And I think the lyrics of this one kind of like summarize everything about the special. I just feel like this song lyrically kind of lines up with like my worldview. The cynicism about like the corporations talking about the live action of Lion King, Pepsi halftime show, gift shops at the gun range, mass shootings at the mall. I think it's like honestly a super powerful song, like even outside of the context of the special and outside of its like visual component.
I found it entertaining. He says, I don't really know how to play the guitar and I don't really know how to sing, but I won't give it a shot. It's like, shut the fuck up,
and
man.
he does a great job.
Yeah, it's like, it's definitely like that campfire person, like humble brag, like, I don't even know how to play. Like, please, guys, don't make me do this. And then also, I found like just the way the song is structured, and it's kind of just random, like these random blurbs of information and metaphor are very similar to just the special in its entirety. All over the place, no structure, and it is like still hitting on the topics of like existential dread and like funny the way it is type of thing.
Yeah. For some reason, the line Robert Eager's face I thought he was talking, like, when I heard the Phoebe Bridgers version of the song, I thought he said Robert Eggers' face. And I was trying to figure out what the significance of that was, because I don't know who Robert Iger
I don't either.
is.
Let's find out. He's the chairperson of Disney.
Does it show his face?
Oh.
He's just a guy.
He stepped down as the CEO.
I wonder what that's supposed to mean.
I don't know. Just random. Probably talking about corporate America and shit.
I like how after he is kind of rattling off all these weird and random references, by the time he gets to the end of it, there is this short verse about like himself, about like him experiencing like derealization, and as a result of all the things that he's mentioning, like this world weary view that he has kind of brought him to this like disassociative state.
Yeah.
Self-help books delivered by a drone, how like inhuman like our world can be. Like, I just find it kind of powerful.
God, this is such a negative fucking special. You ever had derealization before?
I feel like I've been experiencing it for like 10 years. I think I told you this the last time we hung out. Like, I feel like disassociative like all the time.
I've went through it before.
It's like your life is a movie, or you're living outside of your body most of the time.
Yeah, buddy. That's always fun.
I would not say that.
It's a good time. Try it. Yeah. I think part of it's a byproduct of technology. I think part of it is constantly being bombarded with information. And then we've talked about it a million times already. But I think really what it prevents, like all these things, like, yes, while they're like bad, they do like flatten the human experience. What they do instead is it's just like numbing entertainment that really helps you not self-reflect. Not having that self-reflection really pushes the humanity away and can kind of create these problems for you.
You were right when you said we were going to get on this level.
I don't know why I did this.
Why did you do this to us?
I just like sexting a lot, and I wanted to talk about it on the podcast.
To cap off the song on a positive note, at least, there's a video floating around of Phoebe Bridgers playing the song live. Have you seen this? And Bo Burnham is in the crowd watching.
That's wholesome.
It's super wholesome. An artist that he likes covering his song, that has to be a good feeling, you know?
It's that funny feeling.
This is like the home stretch of the special, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's the last few songs here. This is where he does like have a panic attack about working on the special for a year. And then he also, quite literally right after that, he looks into the camera and like breaks down. He says, "I am not well." And like, that's rough.
Yeah, it is.
Rough. Like Willow rough. Like woof.
I love that when he's giving this depressing monologue, you get this 15-second mini song just like thrown into it, where he caps it off by saying, "I think I'm gonna die." He knows how to lighten it up when it gets too dark. And I think that's one of the things that makes this special so special.
Yeah, man, it's different. I think this is like the climax of the special, just like literally him saying those few words. The camera just zooms in slowly, like pointing back at itself in the mirror. And I think it's man, it's some shit. It's just some good shit, man. It's so dark and depressive, but also completely self-aware at the same time. He didn't have to put this out either. Like, as far as like if it really is like some intimate personal thing, like it is very an open wound for everyone to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he showcases it visually by showing up nude with the spotlight on him, like to showcase that he is like vulnerable in this position.
I want to talk about the last few songs. I'm not like super crazy about the whole "All Eyes on Me" song.
Neither am I.
Get your fucking hands up. Yeah, I'm not.
I think it sounds the least like a Bo Burnham song, and it is kind of like steeped in that like SoundCloud rap or R&B. It's a fine tune. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. And like the cinematography choices that he uses, where it's just like him holding a handheld camera throughout, like kind of gives you even more of a claustrophobic feeling while watching it. And of course, you've probably had that feeling throughout the entire special, being stuck in one room. But this is where like that feeling reaches its peak. But the lyrics don't really, I don't know if I want to criticize him too much, because I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's about the artist struggle, like having all eyes on you, which is like a thing that a lot of people might want, but it seems like he struggles with that. And that's kind of showcased in other segments throughout.
He like puts a live feed of what it looks like a concert venue on the wall, like a mega screen for a concert. I mean, I like that. He makes it feel like, he talks to the audience again. He tells like a story in the middle of the song, like, I took a break about 5 years. It's heavily auto-tuned. Taking his 5-year break, and he's like, I thought I'd come back to comedy. I worked on myself. And this funny thing happened. Yeah, man.
It cuts off right after that, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then I think he starts singing again, and then he actually picks up the camera, and like, it's kind of crazy. I feel like part of it is him kind of letting loose finally.
Yeah.
Throughout you know what I mean?
I can see that.
Like he's just jamming kind of thing almost, but.
The final song?
Yeah, man. It's like my favorite song, I think.
Really?
Yeah. It's up there with the Welcome to the Internet. It's like my 2 favorite parts of the special, I think, like song-wise. Man, it's so beautiful. It's like a piano ballad.
I think that he makes it even more powerful by cutting back to footage of the beginning of him writing the song, like sitting at the piano. His beard isn't there yet. His hair is still short. And he's talking to the camera saying like, this might be like the ending song. It's not finished yet. And then he goes into it. It's a nice way to like go full circle on his entire experience within quarantine.
I couldn't agree more. And I also think he talks a lot about, there's one specific line he says, next time I'll sit on the couch and watch you instead. Find that like, again, as a full circle moment where like he kind of just exposed himself to the public in a way that's not really been done before. Because even when you see somebody on stage, it's just not them in a way. It's not them in like a purer form. It's like this symbol of a person and less about like who they actually are. I couldn't help it. I went and saw Tim Dillon live for my birthday the night before we went and saw The Northman. And I don't know if I mentioned it on the Northman podcast, but seeing Tim Dillon live was a very bizarre thing. It felt kind of like I've listened to this person talk for hours and now I'm getting to watch them perform. And then at the end of it, he like turned on the house lights, and everybody's, we all stood up and cheered for him as he was about to get off stage, and like took a video, of the crowd and stuff. And I was like, oh, he's ending his material now. Like now he's back to regular Tim Dillon, and it just kind of felt like, I wonder what this dude's like to talk to off air. You know what I mean? It's just not. I'm being entertained, and that's what I'm paying for, but it's not completely that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's the same thing with Bo.
He's playing a character.
Correct. And I mean, part of that, I guess like the ending of the film too, I don't really know what he was getting at the end. I couldn't quite get my head around it. Because he goes outside finally. He kind of had like this motif of him like wanting to, like him laying down, staring at the door, wanting to go outside. And then once he goes outside, it was like he was on a set.
And the audience is laughing at him.
Uh-huh.
I feel like it just has something to do with being vulnerable again and being in front of an audience. Maybe he found some kind of safety in this process of being alone while making the special. Because he even says at one point he doesn't ever want to finish it because that means that he'd have to go on living his life again.
He says, so I'm not going to finish it, and I'm really talking to no one, so fuck you. Yeah.
I think it's a really powerful ending. I mean, and you're getting a shot of him watching that clip. And he looks horrified at first, and then his facial expression turns into a smile before fading out. It's like really provocative imagery.
Yeah. It was a great performance. Part of me thinks it was a blending of the two, of real life and dramatization. And I found that quite enjoyable because it was like this blurring of the lines a little bit for something so heavily produced and at the same time like extremely stripped down. It was kind of like the in-between of a personal life and like a public life, and I found that really interesting. And one thing I want to say is I don't think that us reviewing a comedy special, in like even though it's kind of like this art house thing, I don't want to rate it at all. Literally, I don't want to. It's the same thing with like Life of Pi. I feel very uncomfortable rating it. I mean, out of pure enjoyment and the amount it made me think, I will never forget it, and that's important to me. I don't want to rate it though. It doesn't feel like a film or a comedy special in a way. It's just like this weird. I'm not going to. I'm just not. I don't want to.
Are you going to be offended if I give it a rating?
No, I'm content with not.
I think it's like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
It is near perfection. I think it's a pretty genius level of work. It made me think. It made me feel. It made me laugh. It also made me sad.
Yes. And we can be done with it now if you want, because I need to get out of this hole we've dug for ourselves.
We can certainly do that. Before we move into recommendations,
I see it.
I have to
All
pee
right,
really bad.
I know. You don't even got to tell me.
Piss break.
Feed me, bro.
Feed you.
I don't know. Fucking just say it. God damn it.
Before we recorded the podcast tonight, you told me that you needed a break.
I need a break.
You want a break from heavy subject matter.
We just did Titan before this.
We did. And that was a super heavy movie.
Yeah.
This was a super heavy, quote, comedy special.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I've had lined up for a while, and I watched it a couple months ago. I'm not saying it's lighthearted, but it's not super dark either.
Okay.
I think it's something that you can totally handle in the light of us doing super heavy stuff, in a row, the way we have. Remember a couple years ago when the Joker movie was released?
Mm-hmm.
Joaquin Phoenix. It was pretty all right. That Joker movie borrowed very heavily from two Scorsese movies from the 70s and 80s. One of them was Taxi Driver. The other was our next topic, which is The King of Comedy. It's a 1982 Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro film. It kind of touches on mental illness a little bit, but it's not overbearing. It has comedic elements in it. It is kind of about stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll get a chance to see how much, the Joker plagiarized these two movies.
Okay.
I think you will enjoy it, at the very least.
We haven't done Scorsese yet, have we?
We have not.
I'm certain at some point we will meme The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sure it'll be a subject one of these days. I'm not as familiar with Scorsese as I'd like to be. I've never seen Taxi Driver. I didn't watch The Irishman. I feel like I haven't really seen any of his classics.
Okay.
So I guess this would be a good start. What year did this come out?
1982.
82.
I believe.
Okay. This will be nice. I'm always down for some classic shit, So I'm sure we'll talk about the Joker too during the podcast. So that'll be fun.
For sure. You'll see it. You'll
Okay.
definitely see it.
Is there any other major actors in it besides De Niro?
Jerry Lewis, who's
Okay.
actually a musician from the time, I think.
Okay. All right.
He made the song Great Balls of Fire.
Okay, that's exciting. That's not as heavy. As long as you weren't gonna make me watch Brokeback Mountain or some shit or some ultra heavy.
We're doing another foreign film, Raw,
No, please.
a double feature.
Okay, that's exciting. Yeah, I need a break from ultra heavy. We're drinking fucking Miller Lite next time. I'm not gonna. We can't go that deep. Okay, keep me afloat. Okay.
I'll do my best to be your floating device.
Okay, that was fun. Next, we're doing The King of Comedy.
Correct.
All right, I had fun. Next time, I'll be in less of a existential mood, and we'll have fun on the next one. But until then, I'm peacing out.
Adios.